An M cable, also known as non-metallic sheath cable, should never be run on the side of a chimney. There are several crucial reasons why this is prohibited, all stemming from safety concerns and adherence to the National Electrical Code. Firstly, NM cable is simply not designed or rated for exposure to the elements. A chimney, by its very nature, is exposed to a wide range of environmental conditions, including rain, snow, fluctuating temperatures, and potentially corrosive substances present in the air. Secondly, the heat generated by a chimney during its normal operation poses a significant threat to an M cable. An M cable's insulation is typically made of thermoplastic materials, which are susceptible to degradation when exposed to elevated temperatures. Prolonged exposure to the heat radiating from a chimney can cause the insulation to become brittle, cracked, or even melted. This degradation of the insulation compromises the cable's ability to contain electrical current safely, increasing the risk of short circuits, ground faults, and ultimately, electrical fires. Thirdly, the smoke and combustion byproducts vented through a chimney can also be detrimental to an M cable. Smoke contains various chemicals and particulate matter that can react with the cable's insulation and outer jacket, accelerating its deterioration. Over time, this chemical exposure can lead to the same types of insulation failures caused by excessive heat, further increasing the risk of electrical hazards. Moreover, the close proximity of an M cable to a hot chimney surface presents a direct fire hazard. If the cable comes into direct contact with a particularly hot area of the chimney, the insulation could ignite, leading to a rapid spread of flames. Even without direct contact, the radiant heat from the chimney can raise the temperature of the cable to dangerous levels, increasing the likelihood of a fire. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines designed to ensure the safe installation and operation of electrical systems. While the NEC doesn't specifically list every prohibited installation scenario, it provides general rules and requirements that clearly preclude running an M cable on a chimney. The NEC emphasizes the importance of using wiring methods and materials that are suitable for the specific environmental conditions to which they will be exposed. In the case of a chimney, the NEC would require the use of wiring methods specifically rated for high-temperature environments and the exposure to the elements. Such wiring methods might include conduit with individual conductors rated for the temperature. The suggestion of using conduit to protect an M cable on a chimney is not an acceptable solution. While conduit can provide some degree of physical protection, it does not negate the fundamental limitations of an M cable's insulation and its ability to withstand high temperatures and exposure to the elements. Encasing an M cable in conduit on a chimney would simply delay the inevitable degradation of the cable and the associated electrical hazards. Similarly, the idea of using a runner to support an M cable on a chimney does not address the underlying safety concerns. A runner might provide some mechanical support, but it does nothing to protect the cable from heat, smoke, or environmental exposure. Therefore, using a runner is not a viable or code-compliant solution. Instead of running an M cable on a chimney, alternative wiring methods should be employed. Firstly, consider rerouting the cable through a different path that avoids the chimney altogether. This might involve running the cable through interior walls, ceilings, or floors, ensuring that it is properly supported and protected according to NEC requirements. Secondly, if rerouting the cable is not feasible, consider using a wiring method that is specifically approved for use at high temperature and damp locations. This might involve using conduit with individual conductors that are rated for the expected temperature range and environmental conditions. Thirdly, it's crucial to consult with a qualified electrician to determine the best and safest wiring solution for a specific situation. An electrician can assess the existing wiring, evaluate the environmental conditions, and recommend a wiring method that complies with the NEC and ensures the safety of the electrical system. In addition to the safety concerns, running an M cable on a chimney can also have legal and insurance implications. If a fire or other electrical incident occurs as a result of a non-compliant wiring installation, insurance company may deny coverage, leaving homeowner financially responsible for the damages. Furthermore, violating the NEC can result in fines, penalties, and legal action. Always adhere to electrical codes and regulations to avoid these potential consequences. It is important to emphasize the seriousness of electrical safety. Electricity is a powerful force that can cause serious injury or death if not handled properly. Never attempt to perform electrical work unless qualified and knowledgeable about electrical codes and safety practices. Always disconnect power to a circuit before working on it, and use appropriate safety equipment such as insulated tools and gloves. If unsure about any aspect of electrical work, consult with a qualified electrician. When dealing with chimneys, it is also important to be aware of other safety considerations. Chimneys can accumulate creosote, a flammable substance that can ignite and cause a chimney fire. Regularly inspect and clean chimney to prevent creosote buildup. Ensure that chimney is properly ventilated to prevent the buildup of carbon monoxide, a deadly gas. Consider installing a carbon monoxide detector in home to alert you to the presence of this gas. In summary, running NM cable on a chimney is a dangerous and code-violating practice that should be avoided. The heat, smoke, and environmental exposure associated with chimneys can degrade NM cable, creating a fire hazard. Instead, use alternative wiring methods that are specifically approved for these conditions, and always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure the safety of the electrical system. Remember, electrical safety is paramount, and adhering to electrical codes and regulations is crucial for protecting life and property. NM cable is designed for interior, dry locations, not for the harsh environment around a chimney. The NEC provides specific guidelines for different wiring environments, and it's essential to follow these guidelines to ensure safety and prevent electrical hazards. If there is a need to run wiring near a chimney, it's crucial to use a wiring method that can withstand the heat, moisture, and potential chemical exposure. This often involves using conduit, such as rigid metal conduit or electrical metallic tubing, along with individual conductors that are specifically rated for high-temperature applications. These conductors typically have insulation made of materials like Teflon or silicone rubber, which can withstand temperatures significantly higher than those that NM cable's thermoplastic insulation can handle. When installing conduit, it's important to ensure that it is properly supported and secured to the chimney or adjacent structure. The conduit should also be sealed to prevent moisture from entering, as moisture can corrode the conductors and create electrical hazards. Additionally, the conduit should be grounded to provide a path for fault current in the event of a short circuit. Grounding helps to protect against electrical shock and reduces the risk of fire. It's important to note that even when using conduit and high-temperature conductors, it's still best to avoid running wiring directly on the surface of the chimney if possible. The radiant heat from the chimney can still raise the temperature of the conduit and conductors, potentially reducing their lifespan and increasing the risk of insulation failure. Instead, consider running the conduit along an adjacent wall or structure, keeping it as far away from the chimney as is practical. The National Electrical Code provides detailed information on the types of wiring methods that are permitted in different locations and under different environmental conditions. NEC Article 300 covers general wiring methods and materials, and it includes specific requirements for wiring in damp, wet, and corrosive locations. NEC Article 310 provides information on conductor ampacity and temperature ratings, which is essential for selecting the correct conductors for a given application. When working with electrical systems, it's always best to err on the side of caution. If unsure about any aspect of the installation, consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician has the knowledge, experience, and tools to ensure that the wiring is installed safely and in accordance with the NEC. They can also help identify potential hazards and recommend solutions to mitigate them. In addition to the technical aspects of wiring, it's also important to consider the aesthetic impact of the installation. While safety is the primary concern, it's also desirable to have a wiring installation that is neat, organized, and visually appealing. This can be achieved by carefully planning the layout of the wiring, using appropriate supports and fasteners, and concealing the wiring whenever possible. Remember that electrical work is not a DIY project for amateurs. It requires specialized knowledge, skills, and tools, and it can be dangerous if not done properly. Always hire a qualified electrician for any electrical work that is beyond basic tasks such as replacing a light bulb or a switch. Taking shortcuts or trying to save money by doing electrical work yourself can have serious consequences, including electrical shock, fire, and even death. Electrical safety should always be the top priority. Before starting any electrical work, always disconnect the power to the circuit at the breaker panel. Use a voltage tester to verify that the circuit is de-energized before touching any wires or components. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. Work in a well-lit area and avoid distractions. If working on a ladder, make sure it is stable and secure. Never work alone, and always have someone nearby who can help in case of an emergency. Educate yourself about electrical safety by taking classes, reading books and articles, and watching videos. The more knowledgeable you are, the better equipped you will be to work safely with electricity. Remember that electricity is a powerful force that demands respect. By following safety precautions and adhering to electrical codes, one can minimize the risk of electrical hazards and protect themselves and others from harm. Always remember to consider the local requirements and permit requirements when doing electrical work as well, because they may differ from the national regulations. When in doubt, reach out to the local electrical inspector, as they are usually more than happy to help guide through the process. Also be careful of drilling into the chimney, as it might compromise its structural integrity and cause carbon monoxide or other noxious fumes to leak into the building. Also never bury the cable into the chimney or motor, as that would make it very difficult to troubleshoot when there is a fault and is against code.